So welcome in, everybody. We're going to get started here. We do have a hard stop at 2 p.m. Central Time. I have a hard stop at 2 p.m. Central. Sam might go a little bit longer than me. So I'm going to give kind of Sam, you're co-host. So I'm going to talk, and I'll probably will be bad at hitting the admit button. So you might like hit the participants thing, and if anybody's waiting, just allow them in or something. I think you should be able to do that. So I want to share a quick story to kick us off and frame up the workshop for today. First of all, we never done one of these before. Literally, Sam messaged me on Friday and was like, "Hey, I'm working with a lot of clients, and a lot of them have the same issue. Their offer just sucks. Like they know it sucks, or they think it doesn't suck, and it really is not good at all. Like they just describe what they do, and you hear it, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense at all. We should do just a pop-up training thing and invite a bunch of people to it Monday and just like teach people how to make their offer not suck, or if they're creating a new product from scratch, how to frame it in a way that's interesting to people when they hear it. It works. And I don't know how to turn off the dinghy noise, Sam. So I guess we'll just have some dinghy. And I wish I knew how to actually disable that, but I don't know where that setting exists. So I want to share a story to properly introduce Sam and properly introduce the training Sam's going to teach today. So about a year and a half ago, we had rented this little farmhouse out in the countryside of Nashville, south of Nashville, in a little city called College Grove. And my entire team had flown to town, and we're sitting around in a big circle in this big living room overlooking this pond. And we're sitting there talking, and the conversation we're having is, what do we sell? Like, how do we talk about our offer? So there was a couple ideas we'd been kicking around. Like, basically what we do is coaching, but we're thinking like, maybe we want to call it consulting, or maybe we want to frame it as like, we're your outsourced VP of marketing, or there's a lot. And we were kicking around 5 or 6 different ways to talk about what we sell. And I was kind of confused. I didn't really have a good answer to it at all. Over the course of the next 6 months or so, we start testing all of these different ways to talk about what we sell, to frame up our offer. We knew what the mechanics were. We knew we got on one-on-one calls with people. We knew that we created a marketing plan for them. We knew we coached them through completion of that plan. Like, we knew what that stuff was, but literally, like, what's the 2-sentence pitch for what we sell and how it works? And I got so caught up in my own head of that. I think that summer sales went down. June and July of that year, 2019, were 2 of the worst sales months we've had in the company over the last few years of selling this product. And that was a direct result of me not knowing what the offer was. So I actually have never called you this, Sam, but I'm going to call you this going forward: the master of simplicity. Like, Sam's superpower, we have talked about this. Sam's superpower is taking complex ideas or processes or systems that have got overly complicated and boiling them down to the essential pieces, and being able to describe and talk about them in a way that anybody gets them immediately. So Sam came in, started working with us about that time, and took our offer and turned it into what it is today, which is a one-on-one coaching program. And we help people get guest appearances on other people's platforms so they can get leads and sales for their business. That's it. And we have a product, and we guarantee you're going to get 5 people in the first 90 days that promote you in their audience, and your business is going to grow. You're going to get leads and sales as a result. That's the product. We're not your outsourced VP of marketing. It's not consulting. It's not a coach. It's that. Like, that's the thing. And Sam could say it more succinctly than me, but Sam helped us do that. Sam is now our director of sales and leads our sales team and helps our clients create their offers. So today, Sam Hill, the director of sales at Growth Tools, is going to lead the training today and literally show you the 3-part framework that he used to simplify our offer down and to lead to, I think we've had 26 6-figure months in a row of sales. And one of the number one factors in that is making the offer something that when you hear it, you think, yes, I get it. And either I want it or I don't want it. You're not stuck in ambiguity land of like, I don't know, like, hold on, what is that? And like, I don't understand how that works. Like, you get it immediately. You either want it or you don't want it. Sam's helped me with this and our company with that quite a bit. So Sam's going to lead the training today. So Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you and kick us off with telling us how to make our sucky offer less sucky.
Man, thanks. I'm excited to be here. Hey, Brian, I'm going to text you. I Googled how to turn off the chimes and dings, which will be a relief, to anybody on this training right now. Somebody sent me a text and said that their dog is barking because they think the front door is ringing over and over. So we have successfully dimed and all these noises here are just kind of nuts. So there you go. I sent you a text if you can find it.
I'm going to work on that to turn that sound off.
Okay. All right. Oh man. Hey, so great to be with you all. I'm going to screen share. And I've put together a little pop-up deck here for us to talk about offers for a little bit, and excuse any typos in the deck. It is literally a pop-up workshop and a text exchange that Brian and I had on Friday. So here we all are, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited. There's nothing better than talking about offers. Offers are what sell, and so I'm going to give you some tips and pointers. Brian introduced himself. Here's me and my fam, and I love offers, sales, and marketing. So if you want to know my role within Growth Tools, just as Brian said, I'm the offer and sales a geek and guy, and it's an absolute blast. And what I'd like to do as we go is be interactive a little bit. Okay, so as you have a question about your offer, drop it in the chat. I'm going to try to answer any and all questions that I can before we're done today. And I'd love to workshop some offers. So as I go through some of this content and you go, man, that's me, I struggle with that. Give me some detail in the chat, and maybe we can workshop a few offers here and make some improvements and optimizations as we go. Okay. If you're a coach, consultant, course creator, service provider, agency, e-com, SaaS, you're in the right spot. If you've got an offer in one of these categories, you might be at the idea level where you're like, I've got an idea of what I should be offering. I haven't generated any revenue yet, but I'm really serious about what I should be offering. I think I've got something here. Maybe you're a beginner, you're doing 0 to 5K in sales a month. You've kind of got enough steam to be dangerous, but you're trying to figure out how to really get into that next level. Or maybe you're somebody who's got some serious traction, and you're doing 5K plus, 10K plus, but you're looking to scale your offer and improve it. We're going to help you today. So I'd like to know which offer struggle you feel the most right now. Okay, and I've put 3 on here, and this isn't an exhaustive list, but here they are. One pain that business owners have in regards to their offer is they just don't know how to translate their expertise into an offer that sells. So you might be an expert in one particular niche, and you're going, Sam, nobody knows as much about this one thing as I do, but for some reason I can't figure out how to put it into an offer. You could talk about it for 2 hours, but you can't sell it, right? Maybe that's you. Number 2 is you can't seem to simplify. And so you've got your expertise into an offer, but that offer feels so big sometimes you're just like, I don't really know that I'm clear on what I offer. So it's just a simplification issue. Maybe that's you. Or number 3, you've got an offer, but you don't have an audience to put it in front of. So you're not making the sales that you want to make. So which of those 3 do you feel the most right now? I want to know. Put it in chat. Give us a feel for who's here and what your current struggles are. What I'd like to do is, in terms of a goal today, is identify what we found are the 3 biggest kind of offer pitfalls, okay? And then a solution to each one of them. All right, I want to give you a path forward, a path out of them here right on our training. All right, and this is just from pattern recognition. So just meaning that at Growth Tools, we've helped thousands and thousands of business owners in all those categories I mentioned. And so we've identified some things that also, as Brian shared in his own story, like come out of our own business, that we've asked these questions and we've fallen into all these pitfalls ourselves. So we can identify with them. All right. So if you are on the quest, as we all are, to find an offer, to really discover that offer that sells like hotcakes, it's irresistible. People want it before you even get through the offer. That's what we're after today. But there's some pitfalls along the way. All right. And I'm going to cover them in order to. I tried to order these a little bit as kind of sort of the dominoes that I see a lot of times with online entrepreneurs. Okay. Pitfall number 1 is that more is better. Okay. One of the reasons that some offers, to use what Brian says, some offers suck, is because they have too much in them. Just literally too much in them. And the way you know that you're in this pitfall is if your offer kind of feels like the DeLorean, all right? And nothing against Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future, all right? But there are some offers out there that have so many things bolted to the offer. Could be existing assets, existing content that you've done over time. You've changed your niche, you've evolved your niche, you've evolved your offer. so many times that it actually is hard to understand and even recognize the original intent that you had. Okay, so you know that you're in this pitfall if you look at your offer and it includes different themes, modules, verbiage from many different seasons of your business. It's kind of just all gone into one big crock pot, if you will. And the original intent is difficult to decipher and discern, versus I put the picture of just the clean Tesla. Like everyone on this training right now, when you see a Tesla, you automatically can go, I know what that is, and I know exactly what they're offering right now, right? I know exactly how this car is unique. I know exactly how this vehicle is supposed to function and why there have been on the rise the last few years. Okay. Another way that you know you've fallen into this pitfall of more is better is if people just don't understand what you do. You know, like some of you on this training, you have talked to people, maybe even tried to make sales, whether that's through a landing page, a sales page, phone conversation. You've met somebody at Starbucks, and you just find that after talking to them for a while, they still don't understand what you do. And they're asking really simple, clarifying questions at the end of that conversation. Another way you might know this is if you've got an existing email list and you talk to your list on a regular or semi-regular basis, but when you run a sale, a promotion, an offer, nobody buys it. That's another way that you know that you are covering too much. And I want to share one thing here that came to my mind as I was thinking about this training. How you talk about what you do is actually more important than what you do. And I don't mean that in like a blanket statement. I mean that in a marketing sort of way, in an offer sort of way, a sales sort of way. It doesn't matter how great you are in your niche. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. If you can't talk about it and explain it in easy terms, to go back to some of my previous slides, like if you've got to talk about the flux capacitor and lightning bolt striking the clock tower at midnight for people to understand what you do, that's a problem, right? People need to understand, and what I call the inner fourth grade level of understanding what you do. Okay, you should be able to tell a 10-year-old what you do, and they should be able to understand it in 30 seconds or less, one or two sentences. And if you can't, then I would challenge you to simplify what you're offering. Okay, you don't have to boil the ocean when it comes to your offer. You don't have to offer everything that you could do and could offer to your market at one time in whatever offer you have, whether you have a high ticket offer, whether you have a low ticket offer, mid tier, like whatever. You don't always have to throw in the kitchen sink. Sometimes we'll talk to experts and it's like, well, I help people, I can help them do this, I can help them do that, I can help them do all these other things. And they offer all of that all the time to everyone. It's like, I offer all things to all people all the time, right? Which is a good way of saying you offer nothing specific to anyone in particular, okay? You do not have to boil the ocean. So here's a solution, okay? If you are somebody who says, hey, this is me, I've got so much packed into my offer, it's just kind of crazy. It's a buffet, and it's just nothing specific. The solution is to think in terms of impact instead of content. Not all the things you could talk about, you could offer, you could do, but what are the things that actually create breakthrough impact for your clients? Breakthrough impact for your clients. Okay. So, well, what do you mean by breakthrough impact? Well, I mean, what's the thing? Most of the time, if we talk to 50 entrepreneurs in the last couple of weeks, I've personally reviewed over 50 offers from people that are a part of Growth University and Unfair Advantage. Okay. And I've gone through one page, we went through a one-page document, which is a part of our program that we're doing right now. And it's amazing how many online entrepreneurs struggle to actually define the breakthrough that they help their clients have. Okay. So I want you to think in terms of of breakthrough and impact instead of content. Like, write this down. People will pay you more for less content, but greater impact. Which for some of you, that might be a sigh of relief, because sometimes it's exhausting to try to offer everything that you could do at any time to anyone that might be in your particular niche. Okay. People will actually pay you more for less as long as you help them create greater impact and greater breakthrough. Okay. I'll give you an example from Growth Tools. One of the chief ways that we help people in our program is by setting them free from Facebook ads, okay, among other things. And there's nothing against Facebook ads. Okay, we like to throw stones at it every once in a while. But my point is, we identified that there's a lot of online entrepreneurs that are on the treadmill of Facebook paid ads and racking up credit card bills, praying they get an ROI, and they're in their pajamas at midnight looking at Facebook dashboard, desperate to grow their audience. Well, we found that one major way that we can help them break through in their business and make a huge impact is by, when they go to bed at night, they're not worried about their Facebook ad bill, but by actually getting in front of a more qualified audience, sometimes a bigger audience, using partnerships. And that's what we teach them how to do. All right. So think in terms of impact, not total body of content that you could offer to any one person. Put a number 5 in the chat box, punch a 5 if you fall into this category and you're going, I got too much in my offer. I've bolted on so many things over time. The flux capacitor's like, well, I'm not sure if it works, and you've got Doc Brown, coming to try to set you free from it and get you teleported to where you're supposed to go.
And Sam, like,
really think about, go ahead.
Like, I think one thing that leads to this is, like, especially in the course world, I think, like, really specifically has a content problem, because you buy a course and you see bonus 1, bonus 2, bonus 3, bonus 4, bonus 5. And maybe that successfully converted you to a sell of some of these things. And you think that's like a positive thing. But if you don't know how to sell the core, like, none of that stuff matters at all. And it becomes like this, like, obligation that you have to create all that crap. And very rarely, like, think about a course you bought. Did you ever even go check out the bonuses at all? Like, very rarely did you. Like, did they move the needle when you buying? Like, maybe if that person is a masterful salesman, but most of the time it just confuses you. Like, you don't need it at all. So I just, like, I remember the first course we ever launched, and just feeling like I had to have extra case studies and extra FAQs and Q&A sessions and bonus things. And it's like, man, how about you just make the core thing really easy to understand and really great?
Totally. Another thing that jumps out, Brian, is sometimes people will say, yeah, I'm not seeing that many successes come through my program. Mm. And so they're client successes now. We had somebody that had recently had seen our success wall, which, if you haven't checked ours out lately, it's awesome. It's one of the things that we celebrate, and we track client success, both numerically in terms of volume, and then also, non-financial stuff. But my point is, they saw our success wall and they were like, how are you all harvesting and cranking out this amount of successes? And the answer is because we've done years and years of actually strategically thinking through, what problem do we actually solve for people, for clients? What do we actually help them do? And what you'll find with a lot of courses and coaches and consultants is they've got so much content and so many modules and so many things that, like Brian said, it's like that bonus number 5 that nobody ever even logs into, but you spent like 20 hours on it, and then never even logged into it. And so that's another reason why client results sometimes are lacking, is because of this lack of clarity. But really think about the problem of breakthrough you actually solve. Yeah, man.
Like, you have to be able to describe one thing simply before you can describe 10 other things simply. And that's like, I've consistently struggled with this. Like, how do I say this very simply where people get it? And then once you get the art of that and get a good habit of that, you can add on bonuses and use those as sales mechanisms, but you have to explain those simply. And, like, being able to explain 10 things simply is a lot harder than one thing. So, like, master it with one. Very rarely is the answer. Keep on adding stuff, because that just adds to the complexity of explaining it in a way where anybody understands anything you're doing at all.
Totally. Borrow other people's audiences. That's one of the simple ways that we talk about partnerships. There's a lot that goes into the the topic of partnerships, which we're experts on, and we've done a ton of them, and we've coached thousands to do a ton of them. And we could say a whole lot about it. But to make it really simple, we help online entrepreneurs borrow other people's audiences. That's an example from our business that took a while to get there, right? A lot of blood, sweat, and tears to go, okay, that's really the problem that we help people solve. Traffic, audience, how do you help them do it? Borrow somebody else's, right? So pitfall number one, let me go to pitfall number two. And that is your ideas versus their problems, okay? And this is related to what we just said, but I like to use the analogy of being too close to the Mona Lisa. There's a lot of experts, a lot of people that know their niche and content so well, it's almost too well. Too close to the Mona Lisa means that you are so close to your area of expertise. It's like your nose is on it and you actually can't see the painting anymore. And so when you look at a lot of collateral, whether it's marketing emails, whether it's webinar registration pages, whether it's your latest blog, whether it's your ad, whether it's your offer, you are describing it in ways that are important to you. You are solving problems that you think may need to be solved, but they're not actually the problems that your client wants you to solve and is asking you for help with. You know you're struggling with this if you have a ton of content, okay, but you have a very, very low level of engagement with your audience. I was talking to somebody recently on one of our last workshop calls, which again, something we do inside of GU and Unfair Advantage. And they were passionately telling me about how their clients don't understand what they need to happen in their business. And I said, well, if you could just have 3 to 5 questions that they're all asking you, what would they be? And they immediately said, well, they're all asking this, and they're all asking this, and they're all asking this. And then I looked back at their offer and I was like, well, your offer doesn't address any of these problems. You know, your offer addresses all the things that you think are important. It doesn't matter what you think is important. It matters what they're wanting to buy from you. And so if you've got a low level of engagement on your offer, on your list, and you feel like there's some dissonance there, you could be in this pitfall. And I've got a really easy solution for this one. This is actually the easiest solution out of all of them that all of you should do today if you can. And that is, you should ask your audience what problems they want you to solve before you try to sell anything. Just ask them. And I put the sort of pain finder thing on here. You'd be so surprised how easy it is to put together an offer if you'll take the time, whether it's through email, a Zoom like this, you know, one-to-one calls, whatever. There's different ways to sort of vet out and validate your offer. But if you will just simply ask people what problems they want you to solve in the area that you're an expert, it's so much easier than coming up with a 10 to 15 to 20 point bullet sheet, writing some huge sales page and assuming, right, that the things you think they want solved are actually those things. Does that make sense? And you can actually just get the 3 to 5 questions. Here's the way I say it. If you took your avatar, your client to Starbucks today, okay, and you bought them a coffee and you sat down for a half hour, the 3 to 5 questions that they're all going to ask you is what your offer needs to be about. And typically we've found that there is a lot of pattern recognition that happens across client bases. And here's what I mean by that. There's a lot of people that feel like, well, what I do is so unique and so special that it's different for everyone. There's just no way I could ever simplify it. But yet, if you took time and really thought about the questions that they're all asking, and you put those questions on a list, and you looked at those questions, you would find there's actually like the same 3 to 5 questions. Okay. Your prospects actually have the same 3 to 5 pains, all of them do, that you could build an entire offer around. Right. Put a 1 in the chat box if you fall into this category. If you're somebody who says, yeah, I actually am not totally confident that what I'm offering is what they need and what they want, all right, put a number 1 in the chat box because we can totally relate. You're not alone, just so you know. You're not alone. Mark Cuban from the Shark Tank, he says it like this. He says, follow the green, not the dream. And what he means by that is a lot of entrepreneurs get so set on the initial dream, the initial concept, what they wish their business was, their fantasy about it, that they miss the trail of green, right? Which is just simply saying what people will actually pay you to help them with and solve is what you should build your business around. Any comments and thoughts on that, Brian?
Well, the one thing that stuck out from that section for me was when I don't know the business, but you mentioned we had a client who wasn't getting the traction you wanted. You're like, hey, what are the top things your customers like that you currently do? And he listed them all out, and you looked at the offer and nothing was there. Like, I think
Correct.
for me, it's just the temptation is just to make it overly complex, to think I know my client really well. And I might, but sometimes trying to unring the bell is hard. like once the bell is rung, trying to go back to, I have never solved this problem before. What's the language? What's the approach I need to take to solving it? Can be really difficult. So I like that approach is really simple. Literally ask people what they want help with and make sure your offer just does that. And I think that's the key. Just does that. Not that plus 700 other modules or 700 other weeks of coaching or 700 other consulting offerings. If you want to create other products after you've mastered one, whatever, do it. But making sure the number one pain point you solve is the number one way that you describe and the thing that your product does. Like, that's a really easy thing to miss, but that's what stuck out to me from that section.
Totally. And you can do that in many different theaters. You can do it via email. You could send out a quiz. You could send out a survey. You could do a poll. You could do a Zoom. You could do a one-on-one call. You could literally send out an email to your list and say, I'd like to have 5 one-on-one conversations tomorrow, only 5. And on all 5 calls, get on the call and say, hey, I just want to know what are the 2 or 3 most painful things in your business and your life right now. And it's going to be different. I know some of you might do stuff that impacts people's life and health, and some of you do things that impact people's business revenue, bottom lines, etc. I get it, but just go and ask those questions. What are the 2 or 3 most painful things for you right now? And they're going to go this, this, this. And on all 5 of those calls, and on everyone who responds via email, I promise you're going to find the same recurring questions that you go, oh, they're all saying the same thing, actually. And you could even ask as a bonus question, hey, what would it be worth to get this thing solved? Like, what's it worth to you? If this pain, if it's like tomorrow morning you woke up and this wasn't a pain for you anymore, like, how big of an impact would that make in your life and your business? And they might define that in terms of health and well-being, or they might define that in terms of wealth and revenue, right? But my point is, what you'll find is that there's probably 2 or 3 pains that would totally change the game for your clients if you can solve those problems. And most of you can. You're just not clear on exactly what they want to buy from you, right?
Elisa made a comment.
Cool. Yeah.
She said, my offer does solve their problem, but not necessarily how they think they need to do it. Which is actually a really interesting, some offers are like that. Some solutions are like that, like ours is. No one wakes up in the morning thinking like, oh man, today I want to borrow other people's audiences. Like, it doesn't exist at
Sure.
all.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot easier if we were selling a solution people are actively looking for. We're selling a solution to a problem people are actively looking to solve, but not via a method they even know about most of the time. So you'll find a lot in our copy, and Sam's helped guide us towards this. We don't mention partnerships overtly to people that are new. We throw stones at the approaches they've taken that have failed. Big stressful launches, Facebook ad, content hamster wheel of death. You've seen those phrases all over the place if you followed us for any period of time. The word I try to avoid top of the funnel, mid funnel, is partnerships, because that, like, I don't even like using that word because it has 100 connotations, none of which are actually related to the thing we do. But the idea of borrowing other people's audiences or making guest appearances and that kind of thing. When we really get to the method we use to solve the problem, we'll paint a very, very clear picture of it. But in the meantime, we'll show you, like, we're going to help you reach consistent 6-figure months without Facebook ads, stressful launches, or content. Notice what I didn't say in there, Lisa. I didn't say how we were going to do it. Now, we need to get to that before you're going to buy the product, and we will. We'll describe it in depth. But if you have a solution that isn't a type of solution people are actively looking out, that's one thing you can do, is just reframe it as the solution to the problem, like as the endpoint. Consistent 6-figure months. That's the place almost every client we ever work with wants to be. And then talk about how you're not going to do it. And then when you have time on a sales call, on a sales letter, or email, or whatever the format is, you can go into depth on how you actually will do it. But it's really important there to be very simple with it all. You don't need to have to give them a 15-minute explanation. They need to be able to get it in a minute or less, or it's just overly complicated. I think Einstein has a quote: if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it. And I think that's a challenge with products like yours, Elisa, whose solution isn't the obvious thing people are searching out, even if it's a solution to a problem they have. So that's how you approach it. That's how we approach it. And that's the nature of our product, is that exact same angle, Lisa. So good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely, if I were in your shoes and you're wanting to market to your list, I'd be talking about all the things they've tried. So if they don't know that the way that you solve their problem is the way they should do it, but they don't have that understanding yet, just like Brian's saying, it's, funny. We don't talk about partnerships up here. We talk about a lot of the things that have been clients have been trying, along the way, and that can create those categories. At least it'll create the need for something different, right? For something different. It won't be caught and just be white noise. All right, here's pitfall 3, and then I'm going to pause and do some Q&A and go into the chat here. Pitfall 3, this one's my favorite just because I love this movie. If you like Field of Dreams. Pitfall number 3 when it comes to offers is that if you build the offer, they will come. That's the pitfall. It just means that people spend so much time working on their offer and building complex products. And I mean that as in, like, I'm going to invest hours and hours and hours and hours building something that I haven't actually really verified people want to buy yet, right? And the idea is that if you build a course, you build a system, you build a program, you build a service, whatever, and it's just amazing. It's sort of like it's almost like a myth. It's like legendary. Like, man, if I build an offer and it's so good and the sales page is that good, people are just going to somehow find the sales page, and they're going to show up through the cornfields and start buying it. And it's just not true. It's just not true. The way that I describe this is like, if you are trying to build this super complex highway to glory in the promised land, but you're not actually sure that people know how to find it yet, or if people even want it yet, and you just feel exhausted. It's almost like somebody who we hear a lot of times, oh yeah, I've got this product, I've got this offer, I've got this course, I've got this thing. And we start talking, and then we get deep in, like, great, how many have you sold so far? How many copies? None. Okay, got it. So you haven't actually sold any yet. It's kind of like when you're on Shark Tank and they present this amazing product, and Kevin O'Leary says, great, what are your sales? 0. And he goes, oh, well, bummer. And so kind of back to the validation conversation. If you just feel like you have put hours, or you're planning to put hours, so we can save you from that right now, into building something, they're not just going to buy it because you build it, because you offer it. Okay. Remember I said a little while ago, how you talk about what you do is more important than what you actually do. It's really, really critical. If you're up late and burning the midnight oil on this product, and you feel like it's got to be absolutely perfect, and it's got to be the best packaging and branding in the history of mankind to make a sale, it doesn't. I call this the slot machine mentality, and if you followed our content, you've seen us talk about ATM probably at some point. And what we find with a lot of online entrepreneurs is that they really are taking a slot machine approach to growing their business. And what that means is one or both of these things. One, they're either betting that this really amazing offer they're going to build is going to get sold and everybody's going to want it in mass, which may not be the case. Okay. Or they're betting that if they try paid ads and they put enough quarters into the machine, pull the lever down, that they're going to get the cherries are going to line up and they're going to hit the jackpot. They haven't done validation. They haven't thought through the right type of traffic in terms of quantity or quality for their offer. And they are simply playing the cherry lining up game. I want you to type the word cherry into the chat if you are honestly playing the slot machine game right now. Be honest with yourself for a second. If you are not confident in your strategy and you're going, yeah, I'm throwing stuff out there, I'm running paid ads for a couple weeks, couple months here and there, I've tried, blogs till the cows come home, I've got 10 different lead magnets I've come up with, I've ordered more lead magnet packaging on Fiverr, or whatever. I should own stock in Fiverr. I've ordered so many lead magnets. If that's you, you have a better path in front of you. That's something we call the ATM model. Everyone knows an ATM, right? ATM is you put a code in and money comes out. And that's what every business owner wants their business to be. Nobody wants a slot machine. You know, if you've ever walked past a slot machine in a casino, it's not exactly an inspiring place. It's people hoping they get lucky, hoping they hit the jackpot. The solution is to attract quality traffic and leads first, teach them, which is Brian said a second ago, you can throw stones. That's us teaching people about things that don't work and things that do work. Then you can monetize them. Here's the crazy thing about online business and about business owners in general. Most of them start at the end. They build first and then hope that it gets sold. We would encourage you to develop an offer after you've actually attracted an audience, to ask them if they will even buy your offer, or as we said earlier, ask them what they would buy from you, and then just go build that thing, the thing they all are ready to buy. In fact, you could even sell it before you build it. Like, write that down if you're taking notes. How many of you would love to sell it before you build it? Wouldn't that be great? Well, you can if you have an audience. And we help entrepreneurs think the opposite of what the gurus are saying out there, right? Which is build this complex thing and do this really crazy launch and spend a ton of money on Facebook ads. What we're saying is you can actually borrow other people's audiences before you do any of the product building. And Brian, I'm going to ask you to share your Robert Kiyosaki story here. I've got him up here. If you're on this training, there's like a 99.9% chance you know the book on the right-hand side of the screen, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but you may not know the story behind it.
Yeah, so I found this out recently. I was doing some research for a project, and so Robert wrote a post on his personal Facebook profile in 2017, April of 2017, and the headline, I forget the exact wording, but it was something to the effect of "The day that Oprah made me $5 million." So Robert, this was 2000, 2001-ish. Robert was totally unknown. Nobody knew who he was. I mean, now he's, ubiquitous to some degree, especially in our market. Anybody interested in investing and living a rich life and that kind of thing. He has the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But when he went on Oprah, the book was just coming out. No one knew who he was. And Oprah, so interesting dynamic. Oprah has a giant audience. At the time, she had 16 million people a day watching her show. She didn't need Robert's money. She didn't need an audience that Robert had. She didn't need anything from Robert except one thing. Her audience, there was a hole in her content that only Robert could fill. See, her audience, middle-aged white women for the most part, constantly came to her looking for help with personal finance. And she didn't have guests that were regulars on her show that talked about that at all. So she heard Robert's book was coming out. She finds out about him. She invites him on the show. They do a 10-minute interview on Oprah. And in the months following that, Robert sold $5 million worth of books. Now, you're probably not going Oprah anytime soon. You might not be in personal finance at all. But the key is the mechanics of what's going on here, the same thing that helped us grow growth tools from $0 to $1 million in the first couple of years. And that is borrowing other people's audiences. Like, most people don't take Robert's path. Most people would try to run ads or do infomercials or run webinars or do content or start a podcast or a YouTube channel. All those things are perfectly fine to do. But Robert, instead of trying to do all the marketing himself, instead of trying to grow an audience from scratch, he found the single biggest audience in his industry, gave her a reason to invite him on her show, did one guest appearance, and it launched Robert to be somebody that 21 years later, we still know about him and talk about him and love the book. All from one guest appearance on someone else's platform. I had a similar start. Like, happened accidentally, just like it did for Robert. Like, he didn't intentionally seek out Oprah. Now, there are intentional strategies you can use to borrow other people's audiences, but the very first one I did was similar. Somebody reached out to me, a guy named Noah Kagan, who runs a site called AppSumo, and said, "Hey, I noticed you grew your email list to 100 subscribers. Would you come teach my audience?" I wrote one guest post. As a result of the one guest post on the site, where I just simply told people how to do what I just done, I sold 300 copies of my little $27 course, and the business was launched as a result of that. So Robert's borrowing other people's audience, like accidental strategy, has still become his number one marketing strategy. It's Waffle House's number one marketing strategy. It's our number one marketing strategy. And now we have an intentional approach to actually doing that. But that one guest appearance single-handedly launched that book into stardom and has kept it there for multiple decades now.
Who would love to be on Oprah? I'd love to be on Oprah.
I don't know if she has 16 million people now, but extremely effective.
Yeah. Amazing story. Yeah, because you think with Robert Kiyosaki, what you think is when you see that book, you automatically go, okay, probably, blogged for years and ran some huge promotion and, had some big book launch formula. When you read some of the backstory to that, I think he had a, box of books in his office that he wasn't able to sell, couldn't sell it. So like classic, hey, I've got something, nobody will buy it. And then when he got in front of an audience, it went lights out. And obviously the rest is history. Um, Okay, I'm going to do a quick review because if you're like me, sometimes you're like, okay, wait, let's remember what we covered. I'm going to do a quick review and then I'm going to go Q&A. We've got about 20 minutes left. I'm going to hop in chat and really, I want to get a feel for some of the questions that you have. I'm going to open the floor in chat. Okay. If you have any questions in regards to offers, simplifying your offer, clarifying your offer, improving your offer, something that's specific to you, drop it in chat. Okay. Brian and I are about to hit those. Pitfall number one is that more is better. Okay. More is better. Somebody said in chat a second ago, I chuckled. They said, it's bad when you want the bonus more than the actual core offer itself. Yes, that's right. More is not better. What if the bonus was actually the offer and you actually increased your price and charged 5 times as much, right? So more is not better. The solution is focus on impact instead of volume of content. Okay. Pitfall number 2, your ideas versus their problems. All right. There are too many entrepreneurs that are focused on everything they think the market should want from them versus what the market actually wants from them. Your solution is to just ask before you sell. Ask before you sell, right? It's like I tell my kids, look before crossing the road. So if you don't want to go splat on the online entrepreneur superhighway, just ask before you start selling. Pitfall number 3, when it comes to offers, is just if you come up with an offer, it's going to sell some way, somehow. You've bought into the myth that you can go out there and play the slot machine with your offer and you will hit the jackpot and it will work. That is not the case. And what we're challenging you to do is think about audience first, actually, and offer second. So those are the 3 pitfalls we want to help you avoid. Was this helpful? Like put a yes in the chat for us. Brian and I are asking like, hey, should we do more pop-ups and talk about offers and talk about webinars and talk about email copywriting and high ticket sales and stuff like that? Put a yes in the chat box if you've written down even one thing that you've gone, man, that was good. I'm glad I went to that. Cool. That's awesome. All right, put questions
by the way,
in the
Sam,
chat.
I got an idea for our next pop-up. You said a line earlier, sell it before you build it. So we'll have to do one on that if there's enough votes for it. The pop-up on how to actually sell it before you build it. And I'm taking notes, by the way, Sam. Maybe we can open up a blank Google Doc or something at some point and put people's offers. There's been several posted that are really good poster childs to workshop through. So I'm taking notes. When you get to that point, I'll send them to you. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, if you would love to sell your offer before you build it, we'd actually love to talk to you and try to help you do that. So put questions in chat. I'm going to go look at those right now. As I do that, if you've watched this training and you're listening to us and you're going, hey, I would love for you guys to help me. I would love for you to look at my offer, my business. I would love for you to help me think through an actual ATM strategy. I would like to invite you to schedule a call with our team and talk to us today. We're going on a company retreat in like about 48 hours, by the way. It's going to be a blast. But like, just hop on a call with us. Go to growthtools.com. Brian, I'll ask you to just drop that in chat so it's easy. growthtools.com/schedule. If you would like a coaching system when it comes to offers and traffic, and you fall into some of those categories we've covered today, and you're just going, I don't know which way is up. I need a compass. I need a plan. Schedule a call with us, and we'll help you out. Here's how we work. We first do plan. So we don't play slot machines, just for the record. We go first to an ATM style strategy. After we've got a customized marketing plan for you and your business, we then give you playbooks that help you follow that plan and execute that plan. And when I say playbook, I mean, we literally tell you exactly what to do step by step every single day, no guesswork. We coach you as we go. We don't do 2-hour coaching calls, drop a piano on your head and then hope you go figure it out. We do plan first, action step second, coach you as you go so that you're actually moving forward. And then we have workshops that we do constantly. We're doing one on high ticket right now. We're helping people write high ticket offers as you go. So just schedule with us and talk to us. growthtools.com/schedule. I'm going to go into the chat right now before I forget and go check out a couple questions. Questions.
All right, I got one for you, Sam. It's kind of buried because we had a bunch of chat in the last minute or so. All right, so let me actually hold on. Let me do this. Let me open up a blank Google Doc. I don't know if this will be helpful. This might be a total waste of time. I'm going to throw in. I forget the name of this one. We'll call him A. I think the first letter of his name was A. And I'm going to text. Can you grab a text from on this computer, Sam? Would that be the easiest way to send you this so you can pull up this Google Doc? Okay. All right. I just texted it to you. Hold on. Let me share permission with you so you can actually get it. Stand by 1 second before you open the link. And we can just workshop these offers in front of people so they can see them. So I'll read it. All right. I just shared it with you. You should have that. Yeah, here we go. I'll share my screen, or if you want to take over, you're more than welcome just to request access.
This is great.
All right. So here was the question, and let me zoom in. Y'all just put in chat. Let me know if you can actually see that. I want you to see this as we're talking through it. All right. So A said, I offer transfer. So this is his offer. I offer transformation through coaching. The transformation seems specific to the individual. I'm wondering how I can communicate the impact in short so people are excited to intro me to my ideal clients. Okay, so talk to me about that one, Sam. The offer is transformation. I personally have no idea what that means. So how would you think through making this an irresistible offer?
Great question. Yeah, what kind of transformation, right? Remember, as Brian said, you're, and I mentioned it earlier, your inner fourth grader, right? Your inner fourth grader, so that they can understand what you're talking about. You transform marriages? Do you transform health? Do you transform finances? Do you transform landscaping in front of my house? It could be anything, right? Transformation involving coaching. I recommend you do a little bit of fill in the blank work. That's often a good way to dial in what you offer. Fill in the blank work means you complete some sentences. Remember Mad Libs? You ever play that game? Kind of you can sort of follow a path here. But I would recommend completing the following sentence. I help you do X in X amount of time without having to blank. Yeah, X and blank, same thing. So let's just say you help people transform through weight loss, right? I help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days without giving up cheeseburgers, or whatever. Specificity is critical. Now, if you remember, I said it a little while ago, because I know sometimes when I talk to people that have an offer that's could be a broad offer, right? Like transformational coaching is a huge, very broad category. A lot of times people respond with, well, but it's different for everyone, right? If you're in the boat where it's different for everyone, I'm just going to challenge you right here. And I'm going to say, you're the problem. It's not that, it's you. Okay. And the way to solve that vague and just ambiguous issue you have is to talk to people that are on your list or in your target audience. If you don't have a list, then go borrow other people's audiences, like we're saying. Okay. And ask them what they want help with. Remember 2 or 3 biggest pains. And I promise, you'll find pattern recognition. You'll find things about it that it's like, oh, everyone is struggling with this particular thing. All right. Next offer.
All right, let me take an action item here real quick on offer number 1. I like this. We don't really know, and he hasn't followed up in chat, so he might be gone or something, but we could take, I offer transformation through coaching. We have literally, is that landscaping or weight loss or overcoming trauma in your life? Like there's some genre to that, so he needs to get a little more specific with that. Action items for him potentially are go ask your 3 best customers. Typing real time, bad. What they love the most about the product. And fill in the blanks above. So that's your next steps, the person that asked that. All right, offer number 2. Let's see. All right, here's one, Ghostwriter. Let me paste this in. I love the fill in the blank thing too. That's really helpful. So I equip expert leaders and boutique consultants with alpha leadership content that engages, endears, and establishes faithful followers. Like that's better
All right,
than
you
the
want to know the
first
first
one,
thing
but I
that
still
jumps out
don't
at
really
me?
know what it is.
Yeah, here's the first thing that jumps out at me. Remember, inner fourth grader. And maybe I'm missing maybe I just am not aware of it, but what does alpha leadership mean? That immediately threw me and I fell off the wagon. So I was like, I don't know what alpha leadership means. What does that mean? Remember tribal language. Remember I said earlier, being too close to the Mona Lisa. Some of you are so deep into your niche that you talk about it in a way that no one would understand unless they were at your level. Like, this is a big takeaway for you. This is a big takeaway. You ready? For everyone here. No one is on your level in your particular niche. No one knows what you know. No one's as passionate as you are. And I'm being a little tongue in cheek because I know you all have competitors. We do too. I'm not saying you don't have competitors, but what I'm saying is if you're the person trying to sell your product, your service, no one you talk to is going to know it as good as you do. Okay. Most of them are not going to know it 1/10 of how you know it. And so you've got to figure out how to describe it in a way that is inner fourth grade, lizard brain simple. Okay. So that's the first thing is when you go through your offer, notice in my fill in the blank above you all, notice everyone knows what a cheeseburger is, right? Everyone knows how long 30 days is, and everyone knows what 10 pounds means. It requires absolutely no mental capital to consume that value proposition. Okay. So same thing here. I'd recommend that you really think through describing what you help them accomplish in a defined time frame without having to do, whatever the big issue is
So
that
it
they've
looks like
already tried. Remember
it looks like this person, it looks like there may be they're a ghostwriter. So they actually create content that helps like influencers get followers. It looks like probably I'm guessing like a corporate type of focus of some sort, maybe leaders of some sort. So what would be the rewrite for this? Talk through that real quick.
I would do something and I'm understanding it as best I can.
They don't even really help. They do. So I create online content for you. Yeah, does it fit this
I help
formula?
you build a raving fan base, a raving following, however you want to say it, whatever's applicable for the niche, in 90 days without having to actually write any content. Yeah. Without having to create content, because probably, his audience has all the things in their head to create awesome content. They just can't do it. They don't have time to do it. They don't have the skills to do it. And tyranny of the urgent takes over. And probably, this business owner can synthesize those things fast. So
yeah, I like in the beginning of this too, how you focused on the end result, like the end result. We're guessing, and that'd be a curious thing, Ghostwriter. I wish you had your real name, so I didn't have to call you Ghostwriter. But it would be to ask them, like your 2 or 3 best clients, ask them like why did they like your service so much? My guess is they probably won't say because I have so many followers. My guess is they'll say something like, I get fulfillment out of working with people. I like getting clients is super easy or something like that. Like the followers is kind of a means to an end. My guess is it's probably not the number one thing they want. That's an assumption, but I would stop using this insider language. Go ask your top 2 to 3 best fit clients. Like, what is the number one thing they got out of the product that you fulfilled, and then work that in here. My guess is the raving fan base, if it's like a corporate exec type of person, probably isn't something they care about, but I'm taking lots of assumptions in what you're doing here. But I love, we focused on end result here, super small time frame they can visualize here without doing the number one thing they don't want to do, which is spending tons of time making content. They don't have to do any of that. You just do it all for them.
Yeah, like the tribal language that jumps out here, like boutique consultants, I've never heard of that. And we've worked with probably 5,000 consultants. I've never heard the term boutique consultant, right? And I've never heard the term alpha leadership. Now, that could be on me, but I'm going to go ahead and make an argument that those are 2 things that are probably insider and unique to you. And probably everyone on this training has things that are in your copy, descriptions, offers, content that people will not understand unless they're you, if they thought about it as deeply as you've thought about it. Okay.
Mm.
So zoom out and talk in very simple terms that anyone can understand. All right. I hope that was helpful, Ghost Rider.
It makes me laugh if I think Ghost Rider, like the old TV show, versus Ghost Writer. All right, let's see. Here's a good one. This one, this might just be a good example. The one that just posted by Hyperbits, offer number 3. I help you conquer advanced music production in 8 weeks without having to sell your soul to YouTube tutorials. How does that feel to you? I don't really know what this means, but maybe your audience does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what's the deliverable maybe? Like what's the end thing they're able to produce as a result? And like they don't produce advanced music production. Would it be like music tracks that are badass, or I don't know, something like that? Like what would be the actual tangible result of the skill? Not necessarily, this is like focusing on the skill, which maybe that could be the right thing. Again, I would ask people that have bought from you and have had success, maybe what they like the most. And if they say that, use it. But my guess is there's an end result of that might be a better focus. What do you think, Sam?
No, they just put in chat, make a song that's radio quality. So make a radio quality song, radio ready song in 8 weeks without selling your soul to YouTube tutorials. Now, listen, this is huge because this illustrates something I talked about earlier. This is somebody who knows the pain points of their avatar in easy language that they're all going to identify. What this person knows is that their prospect, their avatar, that these people are watching YouTube tutorials in their pajamas at midnight and 2 a.m. in the dark, trying to figure out this whole mixing thing to produce a radio ready song. And so that, YouTube pain, it's very, very specific. Notice they don't talk about all different technologies they might have or all the other roadblocks. That's a very specific pain that they're solving. So that's excellent. Again, requires very little mental capital, requires no insider knowledge for anyone to understand this value proposition and say, oh, I understand what you do. It's great.
All right, let's do one more like this one here.
Well done.
Yeah, that's a good one. The end of it feels weird. To sell your soul to YouTube tutorials, like that language, like maybe waste tons of time on YouTube. I don't know, the sell your soul piece, there's a little disconnect there, but that's just polishing. Yeah. So that could be polished up, but I like the angle of it. All right, here's another one. I'll show you how to create your first or next sales letter in 5 days without hiring an expensive and unproven copywriter. Okay, you go first, Sam. I got an idea on this one, but this one. These are getting better. These aren't like the first couple that are like totally off the charts bad, but this is close. But what's your initial reaction?
I like how they did first or next. That's cool. That appeals to a couple. That appeals to 2 groups because that also includes people that may have already tried a sales letter. I would include a result. How to create your first 6-figure sales letter, like let's define how good the sales letter is. Maybe people haven't, actually had sales on previous sales letters, whatever makes sense for you. In the next 5 days. One of the things that I've learned from Brian is it's always good to ask what's believable, in an offer. 5 days seems fast for me. I don't know the space like you do. But that's the one thing that if I raised a skeptical eyebrow and go, I don't know, it seems kind of fast. I don't know if I can crank it out in 5 days, because what you want to avoid in your offer too are, you always use the cub method, right? But that was the other thing that jumped out for me, Brian. I was like, okay, I don't know, 5 days, that feels intimidating to me actually. But what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think you answered it. I was trying, do I really care about a sales letter? I mean, if it kind of feels like a middleman, a means to an end. Like I think the thing I want are a bunch of customers and a bunch of revenue. So I think you kind of bridge the gap there. I didn't quite know how to do it, but the 6-figure sales letter, you could say 5 or 6-figure sales letter. If you're depending on the exact people you're targeting. I cleaned it up a little bit. I help you create your first 6-figure sales letter in 5 days without hiring a copywriter. I mean, you could just help you create a 6-figure sales letter
help you write
without a copywriter, without hiring a copywriter. Like, I don't know. I'm assuming you have a course or something that teaches, or a book or some kind of membership site or something like that. By the way, Sam mentioned this, I got this out of a book called Copy Logic, and we use it all the time now. The Cub critique. Anytime you write anything, emails, offers, sentences like this, ask yourself once you've written it, C stands for confusing. U stands for unbelievable. B stands for boring. So of this, what sounds confusing, unbelievable, or boring? And honestly, 5 seems short, but I'm assuming your market a little bit, although I would probably know that market decently well. I help you create a 6-figure sales letter in 5 days without hiring a copywriter. I don't know. I like that. That's pretty, it's not confusing. It's not boring. The day number and the figure number could be borderline unbelievable, depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a entrepreneur without a product, that's probably unbelievable. If you're talking to an established business owner that's doing 500K or more a year, then that feels great. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So that probably depends on the target market to some degree. And I would even, like, if you have your list segmented or something and you're selling to both of those people, I would probably change this offer a little bit to fit them. You could generic it up a little bit. I could help you create a high converting sales letter in 5 days without a copywriter, and then it appeals to everybody a little bit more. But yeah, this passes the test for me. I would definitely run with that. That feels good. Notice
one
we
of the
just did
things
a
you
lot
could
of
polish
removing.
on
When
that.
we pasted it, there were tons of words. Now there aren't near as many words. Like, make it as compact and as tight as you can. Sam, sorry.
Yeah. No, the one thing you could polish is you might include some of the pain on copywriter. Like, what's painful about a copywriter? I'm assuming they're probably pretty expensive. So I might, say without hiring a insanely expensive copywriter, I'm assuming that's one of the main reasons people don't hire them. So yeah.
Hey, real quick, here's the thing. I've seen Tanya put in chat a couple of times, and I'll just put this as a Q&A question up here at the top. Would love to hear you guys talk about strong intro offers that lead into larger offers as membership sites. Tanya, I would just tell you, you can do that if you want. It's also a limiting belief to think you need some low ticket offer before you can sell a high ticket offer. In fact, low ticket sales, in my experience, is substantially harder than high ticket sales, because you're selling to people that are much more price conscious, are much more beginner level, and you're just going to have a lot more customer support issues with. That doesn't mean you can't sell intro offers at all, but you do not need intro offers to sell high ticket offers. Like, you can just sell the high ticket offer. Like, one of the best mainstream examples of this is Tesla. They didn't start with their Model 3, their $30,000 car. They started with their Roadster that was a $250,000 car, because it had high profit. They were selling to people that had a lot more forgiveness, really rich people. You would think really rich people would be a lot more picky than regular consumer level people like us. That's not the case at all. Like, people that are paying $30,000 and it's their last $30,000 to buy a car, like, super picky, way more opinionated than people that have a ton of money. So my short answer to this, and I'm happy to consider it for a topic, is you don't need that. Like, you don't need to do that at all. Just sell the thing you want to sell and get really good at it. This is kind of like bolting on bonuses because your offer doesn't convert. It's not that you need an intro offer to warm them up. It's that you need to be better at selling and talking about your large offer so they'll buy it. Because you're just going to have the same problem in an intro offer. You're not going to know how to sell it either. And people aren't going to buy. So you go cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And this is where people wind up with 20 lead magnets, because they think they need more lead magnets to warm them up. That's not the case. You need to know how to sell the thing that you have, not create more things.
Yeah, totally.
We could probably have a webinar on that. You do not need, somehow, like, I think somebody got really good. I heard a few different names at this pocket offer concept, which is fine. If you want to sell a $49 PDF, go for it. You do not need that. And it is a much longer and much more arduous path to growing your business to consistent 6 figures and selling out ticket stuff. So that's,
yeah. And that's another reason why we're so big on partnerships. And I would encourage you to think through, leveraging some of the strategies that our clients are inside of GU and Unfair Advantage. Is, you don't have to stress out as much about what your offer is and the price and the size and the when and the how. If you've got enough traffic and you got an audience that's big enough and you're growing your audience, you literally don't have to stress out as much. Like, there are people that have offers that aren't as strong as yours, making sales every single day because they're in front of people, So I see the question here. High ticket offers are on the decline. Is that true? No, it's not true.
Yeah, what's on decline is
the best way to say it.
You hear this like every couple of years. We've had several mutual friends, Sam, that have said over the years, like, courses are going out of business. Is like, have you heard of Dave Ramsey before? Like, dude's been selling the same course for 25 years. What goes in decline is a lot of entrepreneurs' attention spans, and they get shiny object syndrome. So they're like, well, I had a down month in sales, so let's build a whole new product. It's like, or you could just like fix the problem and continue selling the same product. It's kind of the same thing that leads people to creating a lower ticket and lower ticket and lower ticket offer. They haven't solved the number one problem, which is what do I sell and who do I sell it to? So no, they're not. Maybe so, but it has nothing to do with high ticket offers not converting at all. Like they work for us, they work for many people. Your attention span and the level of discipline you have to continue selling it, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, well, what we can tell you statistically and empirically is that e-learning is in the absolute beginning boom forever. Nothing will ever be the same after obviously the current year that we've had, whether that's, low ticket, high ticket, mid ticket, whatever. If you have something that you teach people, now is the time. 100%.
Let me show you a graph for this. So the Teachable, which is one of the number one top 2 or 3 e-learning platforms in the world. You tell me if online learning is declining. Their usership and new users is at an all-time high and is only going up and to the right. So yeah, like nothing's declining. It's going up very, very rapidly.
Yeah. Somebody said they went in on the Growth Tools coin crypto. I don't think you'll see any coins anytime soon. Oh, that's
all right,
funny.
Sam, I got a jet. You're more than welcome to keep going, but I have a hard stop. You want to wrap up or keep going?
No, I got to hop off too.
Yep.
No, I got to hop off as well. Hey, we'd love to help a few of you. So if you've benefited from this training, go to growthtools.com/schedule. I will personally review 5 offers inside of GU or UA. We've got a couple programs. But hop on and talk to our advisors. We've got a couple advisors. They're totally down to earth. Talk to Will, talk to Daniel, talk to Brian, and just learn about the program, what we're doing here. If you've enjoyed this format and you're going, hey, this is really helpful. And a couple people said that, like, this is what it's like to work with us. We think about things first, create a plan, diagnose, and then we go step by step, just like we were going and kind of retooling those offers one thing at a time. That's what our program's about, but it's just at scale, and you've got our entire coaching team behind you. So folks from this webinar, growthtools.com/schedule. And if you enroll, I'll personally review your offer and check it out. All right.
Thanks, Sam.
Hey, I'm glad this is helpful. Yeah. All right.
This is awesome.
See y'all later.
See ya.